Okay, we're live.
Alive.
Yep, we are live. There we go. Yes.
Yeah.
Yay! It is Wednesday, October. Oh, see, got the wrong month. Yeah, I'm so excited. Yay, it is Wednesday, November the 8th, 2023. And and I am on with Lauren White of Lolo's Tarot, a beautiful practitioner. This it's got a delay. I have to listen to myself. So I want to start with, how did you get involved in metaphysical psychic things?
um, I should know this off the top of my head. I guess, well, from when I was a really young child, like adults would come up to me and say, "Are you a Pisces? Are you a Pisces?" So I immediately thought, there's something to that. And I did a bunch of self-study in astrology. And then eventually I picked up my own tarot deck, probably like 3 years ago now. Um, And then a year later, I went into Blue Eagle to ask if I could read there. And they said, you have to talk to Michelle. And the rest is history.
Oh, that's cool. So that's how you got to Resident Essentials. They kind of sent you.
They sent me, they knew where I was supposed to be.
That's pretty cool.
And yeah, I really knew so little until I started learning from you and Michelle and the other practitioners. Um, it's like just opened my mind to these to everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, and when did you kind of feel that you had this kind of connection?
Yeah, I've been having some memories come back up recently of being a little kid and like seeing my grandma at the edge of my bed as like a dark figure, and I was really scared as a kid. I think I maybe saw some like spookier stuff and maybe I shut those gifts down, but I've always been able to like feel all the emotions in the room. And I had to work really hard on energetic cleansing and knowing what was mine and what was somebody else's. I was like always called too sensitive growing up. So I guess I had an inkling, but it wasn't in an empowered way.
Hmm,
But that
interesting.
changed after Resonant, of course.
Mm-hmm. And I think you've been at Resident Essentials a little over a year, right?
That's right. Yeah. It's I like, you guys are my family. I don't know what I did before you. um yeah, I've learned so much.
Well,
I've been
it's
going.
great to add you onto my list of spiritual sons and daughters around the country.
Aw, aw, that's the VIP list.
Yeah, the VIP list. So you get a chance, Mother Grace is always peering in from the other side.
Oh, you can feel her love.
Yeah. Well, she's kind of bossy to me. She always like, get her in the circle quick. So that's what I try to do.
Oh,
I noticed at all of the psychic fairs that you have like fairy tarot decks and
do.
um looks like plant tarot decks.
I do. Do you want me to get them?
Uh, yeah, you can show them, or show one or two of them so they know what I'm talking about.
You were the one who introduced me to the Deva kingdom and the fairies and everything. So I think that's what I'm most connected with.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I noticed that you have a very strong connection to them. And I know um being around your residents, I could definitely feel them,
Oh,
moving around, not just the doggies showing up and the cat checking, but actual vibration kind of running across my feet.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
say that to you, but I felt that something running across my feet like they were playing, like like a peekaboo thing with each other over my feet. So
oh my gosh, that's so precious.
yeah, so that lets me know that you have a good connection to nature. Um, do you have something you share, like how when you start to read the cards or how you start out at the fairs, is a certain pattern of things that you do? Like I know I usually set my table up and then I try to get in about 5 minutes of a meditation to stay
Oh,
calm. Do you have something that you do?
that's a good practice. I try to do that at home in the morning. Um, I always use my shower to like let the water cleanse me. And I do the white light and I'll do like focused diaphragmatic breathing I feel like it's almost like a filtration system for my energy. And then I just set an intention that the people who are meant to find me will, and I get out of my own way. So it's not ego and it's coming from above. Um, and then, yeah, I sometimes at the table, I'll ask people to take a few deep breaths together just to kind of sync our energy up too. Um, that's how I get in my flow.
Yeah, it's pretty good. That's nice. That's nice. I had a thought that came to mind. Oh, well, I also know that I never have to bring mine because you'll bring yours. You'll have some selenite there
Oh my,
on your table. But when I'm home here and I'm doing readings on the phone or on Zoom, I'm pretty much tuned into the selenite flow riding around my apartment. Do you kind of feel, the energy from your gemstones moving around you, even when you're not reading, but then especially when you do start to read, that it seems to amplify? Do you ever get that feeling?
definitely. I kind of feel a little bit like vulnerable without them. It's like
Mm-hmm.
they they connect me to different perspectives and realms and like energies that maybe I couldn't necessarily like pick up on myself. And like you, I just love selenite because it's such like an instant transmuter. Like a lot of times people do come to readings because they're dealing with like grief or loss or transition. Um, and it's such a powerful way to like alchemize that energy.
Hmm. That's interesting. I kind of feel that too, that it's like a trickle down effect from the universe, like a funnel. But then in myself, I feel like somebody's pumping up a tire, like I they know I need more energy in order to get into the meditation or the work with people. Um, Sometimes I ask other practitioners, is there something that they want to see in the world in terms of how we're doing our work in the world, whether it's, en masse with a lot of people that we already connect with through the center or as individuals? Do you have I guess, a vision of how you would like the world to be, the globe? no matter what's going on in the world.
I do actually. My since I'm studying psychology and I've thought about like how health insurance plays into a lot of like decision making factors and accessibility to care. Um, my dream, my vision would be that all of us spiritual practitioners could be added to the insurance plans so that we would be compensated for our work without people who are already, having a hard time. Um, you know, I feel like sometimes it's uncomfortable for us to like ask for what we really deserve in our readings. So I feel like if there was a standardized practice that could link clients to specific practitioners, and I feel like it is a lot like therapy, like you find the right ones, or maybe
Mm,
see Brother Francis this month and then you need to see Michelle next month. Um, but I would love almost like a synergetic web where we can all be connected through this like mutual healing and psychic practice.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very interesting. I thought of that the other day when I was going out somewhere. That I think it's taken the mainstream maybe 20 years, some long time ago, to accept chiropractors, you
Yeah,
know, and
yeah.
before anybody realized, okay, what's the difference between them and a massage person? So the chiropractors got in the door first, and then that brought the licensed massage therapists. I think they came in second. But after
Wow.
that, it seemed like the mainstream had no kind of connection to anybody else, like, Qigong healers or, people that can use yoga as a form of, physical therapy if the person was, ready to transition into that kind of exercise. Um, because one of the things I've noticed over, and it's been a very long time, is people who are psychotherapists who, in the beginning, because I've been doing this almost 50 years. So in the first 10 or 20 years, from we said 1974 to 1994, there were my clients who happened to be psychotherapists or mental health practitioners were studying shamanism,
Wow.
um, indigenous practices, going into meditation. And then once they became close to being certified for, let's say, some level of spiritual metaphysical practice, then they were employing that in their work. And I
Wow.
always used to think, well, now they're stealing from the people who have been doing this for so long.
Yes,
They're, taking the pool of clients.
that's true.
But what happened, what I found for myself, when I didn't know anything about intentions, I was putting the intention out that I would find a mental health practitioner who would recognize my work for what it was at the time, which I was developing my creative path work meditations in the early 1990s, mid 1990s. And finally, I found somebody by way of another friend who used to come get readings from me. And when I met this woman, she says, wow, she says, I share an office with my professor who was my psychology and psychotherapy, trainer. And I told him about you, and he said, yeah, let him use our office on Saturdays
Oh
to
my God.
conduct his meditation. And he told her, I want you to sit in on it, and I want you to tell me what you think, because maybe we could send him the people that he could actually work with that we really shouldn't be working with. And it
That's
started to happen. It was like a trend that they would send me their clients. And then I wound up being at a yoga and polarity center because that lady heard about me through some other people and asked me to come because I was working at a botanica, they call them herb shops, doing readings. And I went to her and I brought a package of things that I did. And all she did was lay her hand on it, hold her up in her heart. She says, I don't need to read it. You're in. When can you start? We'll
Oh my
give you
God.
like, two nights every other Thursday night if you want, or every other Tuesday night at my location. So what happened was I started to doing the meditations, and I used to do Tai Chi way back then. And so she let me come in there and teach Tai Chi every
Uh,
other Thursday morning. And every other Thursday night, I come back and do my meditations. And I wound up attracting, more people who were the chiropractors and things.
um,
So what I kind of think that might happen is it's already happening now. It's taken 20, 30 years to see all these different dynamics that people can get assistance, and those people begin to work along with us. And
wow.
eventually, maybe there's only a few hospitals, as I heard, but I don't think they really do it anymore. There was maybe one or two hospitals in Albuquerque that were letting Reiki practitioners come in and do
Oh my,
something in general, rather than the Reiki practitioner going in for the family member and having to disguise themselves and just sit there and send out Reiki vibes, if it was okay to do. So,
yeah. Wow. Already big
because
shit.
most people they don't understand what we do,
That's true.
and it takes a long time to find someone in the business field that understands it, someone
Yeah,
in psychotherapy, psychiatry, to really understand that, how these disciplines can help them out. So
definitely.
we, it takes us, has taken us longer to get into the mainstream.
Yeah.
Um, do you have other kind of practices that you do when you're not reading cards or anything?
Um,
When I mean practices, um, they could be metaphysical or physical and exercises, or you know.
well, Michelle has been really good about helping us with direct readings. So once in a while, I'll just like turn on my own voice memo recorder and just kind of let it flow. Because
Mm-hmm,
sometimes I read cards for myself. Um,
mm-hmm,
and as you've taught me more than anyone, like meditation is that key to unlocking your internal self, that like center. So whenever I'm not meditating, it feels like I can't do any other practices.
okay.
um uh but I also like to, go outside and like leave little stones out for the fairies, and especially at dawn and dusk, and try to like call them in and feel the energy swirling around me. um I I guess I replenish a lot through like nature and being creative too, like watercolor painting.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I think the David Kingdom is connected to art and music and creative style dancing, and like ballet or modern dance. I think they all have that kind of energetic connection that comes to us. Um, while I'm here, oh, do you happen to have one of your cards around you?
Oh, I could grab one. I should have
Yeah,
them all over.
and I'll tell the audience she's traveling through
Oops.
the light tunnel to get her cards.
I know I can't teleport yet.
Yeah, well, you kind of look like you're teleporting. Pra- you're practicing.
I'm practicing.
You're going through the motions.
If I run fast enough.
Yeah, you don't have to run fast. You just kind of let the floor panel move underneath your feet
Ooh, that's good
gentle
advice.
So yeah, just show one or two cards that you find interesting.
Oh, did you mean my business cards or
Well,
no?
the business card is all right, but the
Oh, I'm sorry.
oh, I meant like your fairy cards.
I'm so scattered today. I'm sorry. I've been feeling a little bit under the weather.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. I'm scattered too.
Let's see. Let's get a fairy cat for today.
Hmm.
I'll try to make this collective. Let's see.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that'd be
we have
cool.
we have death.
Hmm.
So that makes we're in Scorpio season, right?
Yeah.
I feel, especially with the eclipse energy, that um it it's taken away, like this year feels especially energetically intense because it's kind of like the universe has forcibly removed the people, places, and things that aren't in alignment with where we're going next. So
Hmm.
um and also I love this death card because the kitty is on top of the skull, which reminds me of like connecting to the ancestors, like doing that ancestral healing and having their support behind you in the spiritual realm, and but making very physical changes to help and support you. Yeah.
Nice. That's
What?
nice. Yeah. I think sometimes, people can allow themselves to receive because there's so many different ways to receive energy and information that they need to allow themselves to process things that they feel or see that's happening in their lives. Sometimes is
True.
for a lot of us is we have family members who may not comprehend why are we doing these things. I
Right.
used to have some cousins that used to go, "Oh, why are you doing that? This is bad
Oh,
and it's not bad." And now 20 or 30 years I see them have an interest, in things that we all have been doing for a while. Or
yeah.
some friends, sometimes they didn't quite comprehend. Or once I was in my teens, my mother would tell me not to talk about it because during that time, back in the 60s and 70s, people might think I'm a little out there, crazy, or talking about
Right.
something that they were taught that was negative. And so,
Yeah.
in order to protect myself while I was in high school, from about my sophomore year, actually, all 4 of my years in high school, I couldn't say that I saw things around people or because then what am I going to do when it comes to explaining it? And then some, peer might think I'm doing something negative, tell their parent, next thing you know, I'm kicked out of school. So, but then when I got into college, then I started meeting other students that had an interest in these things. But it was interesting. We kept it all quiet. We didn't say anything. We would
Yeah.
just get together on our own and think, okay, what was that you felt today? And we would have our own little discussions, but we were so nervous that anybody walked down the hall and tap on our dorm room, we get like little mice and get quiet,
But yeah.
because we didn't want to talk about it, around anybody. So I think we're in a time frame now when we can talk about it because I think the quarters of communication are open and
Yeah.
younger people are coming on to the planet like yourself and people
Mhm.
born in the 2000s, the 1990s, the 70s. right, and they're in the 80s, are more open and are actually remembering who they may have been before, that kind of triggers what they're doing now. And I think that's very helpful. Is now just learning to talk about it. I mean, I'll go on TikTok and there's tons of people on there talking
Right.
about stuff. There's also a lot of people on there making up stuff that's
No.
not true, because they're
Yeah.
trying to be a content creator and don't understand, well, you can't put lies out, can't put falsehoods out
Right.
about. And like my friend, the numerologist Lloyd Strayhorn, he's been doing this for over 50 years, numerology and astrology together. So he has literally almost close to 20,000 people worldwide locked into him, following him. So at least when he goes on YouTube, they're not going to mess with him. You know, I've done
Serious.
some things on YouTube for the past 2 or 3 years, dreams, symbols, numerology. So people are not going to mess with it because they know I come across in a very calm manner, matter of
Yes.
factly talking about things and can answer their questions. So,
Right. Right.
you know, I think sometimes we have to be more somehow more noticeable, you
I
know.
know. I know. I think that's a big part of like the vision for the future too, is that like right now it's like we attract the people who are already getting into or are very much into spiritual concepts. um but ideally it would be like normalized as a way of living, and everyone would be self-healing and exchanging information and ideas on this like higher frequency.
Yeah, and not be afraid of us. Old schools, like, who are these people and what are they doing and why are they
Right.
doing this, and this might change our children. When they don't understand that the child is
Already.
going through all this information, how are they going to share something if mom and dad is not interested? Hopefully grandma is, and grandma goes, oh, let him or her hang out with grandma for a weekend. And the child is like, yeah, I'm hanging out with grandma because they know what I'm going through, and they
Oh,
will help bring that energy forward. As like in when I was growing up, my dad had it and his
yeah.
siblings had it, but they never talked about it.
Wow.
But their mom was into doing things very negatively. And
Really?
then on my mother's side of the family, she and two sisters and I think one brother were born what they call the extra foreskin. They would call it the veil.
The
And
shaman.
they had those abilities to read people. So when they knew that I would say something, the uncles wouldn't make fun of it.
Yes.
And if my male cousins did, my uncles would gently admonish them that, he does have something going on that's very valid for him, and not to laugh, meaning not to laugh at me. Whenever they did, I would like get that little munchkin face or
Yes.
scrunchy face. I wouldn't say I'm going to get them back, but I would say if I see something coming for them, I'm not going to tell them, you know even if
Yes.
it's something positive that's coming their way, I'm not going to mention that I'm aware that it's coming their way, you
Yes.
know. But I
Yeah. And
had to learn how to, I guess, develop that way to communicate. But now, all of these, especially my older cousins that are like a year or two older than me or a couple years older than my brother, they get it
yeah.
because they
Wow.
they say like, "Hey, I heard you on Lloyd Strayhorn's show. I heard you on this, heard you on that platform. Didn't know that you wrote books." I said, and
Wow.
I would say you did. You never asked. Now they want to buy my book. So
Oh
you
my
know.
God.
So I'll ask you: do you have any like family, like cousins? Do you notice if you have any cousins that have any interest in these things?
Um, I do have a cousin who's let me read for her, and I think they have crystals and stuff, but I I do feel like the lone wolf of my family. I didn't have a lot of cousins. I only have two cousins, and um my only family on my dad's side is my grandma now. So
Mm.
she was actually the one. I was laughing when you were telling about going to grandma's house because I was always so excited to see her because we would look for fairies in the garden, and then she would tell me that there were like leprechauns running around, and um like she didn't make fun of me when I would tell her that I saw something. So it was kind of this protective buffer. And she's actually come in and gotten a reading with me at Resonant, which was really cool. I remember asking her, like, did you ever expect me to be a psychic? And I expected her to be like, no way. But she was like, yeah, I could see it. So
Mm.
that was validating.
Yeah, that, I think that as time goes on, more and more, and you probably feel this too, as time goes on, meaning as the energy on the planet speeds up, we notice certain changes.
Right,
Um, I almost don't think of the third world stuff as being in control of
right.
us.
Right.
It's happening on whatever level that is supposed to take place, but there are other streams, life streams that are happening that we might be participating in that actually sees that whole world that we see in the news silent. We see people, getting along. Like
Right.
sometimes I would see these wars on the news and then later would have a dream and then realize, okay, I'm catapulted into another life stream
Wow.
overlapping this one. And I see like the soldiers on both sides putting their guns down and
Oh my
negotiating with each other, going to their governments,
God.
back and forth together, not by themselves, like going together to the different embassies and saying, this is not going to work. We're not
Oh
going to
my
push any buttons. We're not going to pick up any weapons. You guys who are creating this stuff are going to have to come together and
God.
verbally work this out. And then I would see them eventually like overflowing,
Oh my
them
God.
changing their governments, and then there were not really any wars going on, you know.
Amazing.
And then I saw another live stream, and this is when I was a child. I saw another live stream where uh the so-called galactic brothers and sisters coming in and having these long talks with people,
Oh
and
my
people
goodness.
starting to change, because we were talking to them and they were seeing the direction of the planet and saying, well, we're here to help you change. We're like the future of you on another level.
Oh my
And they
God.
don't look anything like what we've seen the drawings to be. They're not,
Yeah.
bigger heads, smaller bodies. They look very much like ourselves, you know,
Oh,
and completely different. And
wow.
so I kind of saw that. So as we're going along here, I heard I asked you for what your vision was uh,
Yeah.
in the world, how you wanted to see the world. But here's something I want to put out there to people. You have connections to your doggies and your cats.
I do.
And how would you want people to relate to the fur kingdom better? Because I notice in a lot of states, sometimes people accumulate fur babies, but they don't really take care of them. And
That's
that's
so
why
true.
we see them roaming around.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's
do you have something that you'd like to say about that so people can connect better with them?
oh, I feel my crown tingling. I feel like there's this stigma about looking at them like babies, like fur babies, but really to me that's what they are. They're babies in a different suit than we are. They need all the same things like love and attention and nurturing. Like it's heartbreaking too how people have dogs just to like feed them or use them for exercise, and they don't see them as this soul that incarnated specifically to you because they have something to teach you, to share with you, to protect you from in the energetic realms.
Mm-hmm.
They they'll talk to you if you listen. And yeah, they're like, I think of them as like living spirit guides.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yes, because they do. I notice if you're talking to them or you're looking in their eyes, they have certain body languages that you know that they're thinking and they're
Yeah.
picking up something. And one of those things that they do is tilt their head. They'll look
Mm-hmm.
at you and they'll tilt their head. You know, they move their head back, their ears will shift. You know what I'm saying? Okay, they're not mad. The ears are shifting because they're saying, like, I get what you're saying, Brother Francis. However, do you see it this way? And then you start picking up other things. And I learned that long ago. I'm still not as grounded as I should be with them, but I've learned when people have big dogs and they look at me like I'm bigger than you kind of energy and I'm shorter than them, I always put this calm energy out. Like I see them sitting and kind of laying across my feet. And then I
Oh,
see them go like, which means like, that's what you want me to do? Oh, that's what I want to do too. And then they just
oh,
follow through and do it, you
yeah.
know. And then, they sit, there's a communication link as
Oh,
opposed that if I show that I'm nervous and are they going to jump on me? They feel that emotional energy with that image. And then they go, oh, you want me to jump on you? Or you want me to bark? You want me to do this? You want me to growl? And so then they do that. And then I realize they're just following what I'm telling them to do. I'm just
that's,
not realizing I'm telling them to do that.
yeah.
So, but I think in the utopian world, they know. They know more than what we are thinking or feeling.
I
And they can
agree.
definitely tell when the human is positive or not, when the
Right.
human is a nice person or not. If the human has hurt someone like themselves, they will show it. You're like, that person's mean, that person's manipulative, that
That's
person's abusive, and they growl or they stay away from them. So they
right.
do know these things.
Right.
I
I know.
believe they know very much. Um, in closing, and this before you give out your information,
Oh yeah.
what would be your vision for RE in
For
general?
yeah. In general, well, I would love if it was like like that the word that came to mind was McDonald's, like if there was like a Resonant Essentials on every street corner, but almost if they like how you were saying earlier that maybe hospitals are phased out. I think having a Resonant Essentials established business that's somewhere accessible for everyone, where they can interact with the people they need that energetic exchange with, where they can learn and grow and open their minds at their own like comfortable, familiar pace. Um, I know that Michelle just has such a big destiny here, and I know that Resonant Essentials is like in its baby phase right now, so I'm not exactly sure how it's gonna look in the future, but um I feel like it's the start of uh a whole change in not only like healthcare but psychotherapy and metaphysics, and like you were saying how those things can blend together, and then we refer people out to the community who has those different skill sets, so it really does become this web of like healers and psychics and um connections to soul family.
Mm-hmm. That's
um,
great.
Yeah.
So now we can kind of close out. I talked a little too much in this one, didn't mean to,
And
uh,
no, well, I'm
but
not
I'm
talking.
talkative at times. So could you tell the audience whether they're listening live or they come back and replay this later, when are you at Resonant Essentials? What
So
days are you there, days and times?
I'm at Resonant from usually 10 to 4 on Fridays. You can call me to book a reading at 505-916-4639.
Okay.
I'm also on the website, and I'm a regular at the psychic fairs we do the second Sunday of every month. Um, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good, good. And I'll also say they can go to the Resident Essentials website and look under practitioners, and your name and everything you just kind of said comes up there at well, which is www.resententals.com. And they will see that you are there. Well, I want to thank you so much for allowing me to interview you today. May you have a pleasant day, rest of your day. And I guess I'll see you Saturday when I'm
You will.
there for meditation
Right.
class. You have a pleasant day. And everybody that's watching, may you have a blessed day and let it be a day of ease and grace and blessings. As I
Thank
always like to say, my grace is your grace. Until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we are alive and well in the
you.
age of remembrance.
Remembrance. Thank you, Brother Francis.
You're welcome. You're welcome.